Alright, so I just figured I'd make a video instead of writing it out on how to get her to be a little bit more engaged with you out on walks. I'm going to have you go way back to the fundamentals of this, even farther back than I did. So first, I think it would be beneficial to kind of make her work for your attention. So basically ignoring her, playing hard to get when she comes up and wants your attention or she's doing things like this. Like at home when there's not a lot of distractions. Obviously if you're outside and there's other things that motivate her interest, then that's not going to be beneficial at all. So you're going to start inside where you're sitting down and she comes up and she like nudges your hand or gets in your space or climbs up and like breathes on you or whatever she does. You're just going to ignore her or make her leave you alone. So very neutrally, without emotion, just out. And make her give you space, and then that's it. We don't talk about it. We don't put an emotional response to it. It's just I want space. If she starts following you around, then put her up, put her in a kennel. Just make it to where you're not constantly giving her affection. If she walks up to you, you're not petting her every single time, or like going out of your way to get her attention. It's literally just playing hard to get. It sounds like maybe that wouldn't be very beneficial, but it is. It's huge with dogs. And just think about how you feel about things. Like right now, you want her attention out on walks, and she's ignoring you because she's found other things that are more interesting. And you want that. You crave her paying attention to you. Just flip the roles. So you start with that inside. Once that is in effect, and she's like getting really pushy, maybe for your attention, or just you notice that she's maybe not pushy for your attention, but you just notice her caring a little bit more about where you are or anything like that. There's somebody walking outside the door, so she's, where are you going? Then we'll switch over to building engagement in a constructive outlet. So we'll start marking her attention to you and rewarding that. So the playing hard to get, that's going to be making you more valuable because you're not an easily accessible resource. And then when she does start like, hey, I'm over here, remember me? Then we'll start putting that more on cue and putting value in that. So, Thalia, yep, good girl. How I do that is, again, we're starting in a very neutral environment. So I have her on a leash so that she can't completely check out. But I'll just start moving around a little bit, and every time she comes up and looks at me, makes eye contact, I pay it. So I didn't mark right away. I'm sure it was a little bit harder to tell on here, but she was staring at my tree pouch. I'm not a piece of meat, so I was waiting for her to look up at me. So if it's easier, you can kind of have that out of view. Yep. Mark it, yes or yeah, whichever. I feel like yep just kind of falls out of my mouth easier. So you'll do that for a while. So she's on leash so that she can't check out. You're not forcing her to do anything. You're just waiting for her to voluntarily offer up that interaction. Yep. She already knows this because we've been doing this. So she's like, all right, just look at you and you give me food. So we're putting value on her paying attention. There's nothing else that she wants to do more. Like when she was off camera, she went and laid down. So there's nothing that she wants to do more in this room. It's not exciting, so she's willing to hang out with me. Yep. And I'm just making it worth her time. So then it is going to be something where we just start adding a movement, where we do a little bit in motion. So we'll start walking around, and when she looks up at me, again, there's nothing really taking her attention away from me. Yep. Good. We'll pay her for it. So we'll show her that there's value in that. How you reinforce is going to be a big deal as well, especially when you start transitioning this from like your house or even into your backyard or your front yard or whatever. How you offer up that payment is going to be a really big deal. You're just like, here's food. That's going to become, it's not going to compete with other things that are more interesting to her. New sights, new smells, things moving around. So I recommend really playing with her when you deliver her reinforcement. So we're walking around. Yeah. Let her chase your hand. See how she gets excited and happy. Yep. Girl. Good. another like little exercise, so that's putting value and looking up at us. Another exercise is going to be, instead of allowing her to go essentially into autopilot where she's checking out from what you're doing and just walking and zoning out and looking at other things, I want to kind of get her in the routine of having to pay more attention to me or to you through disorientation. So I'll let her kind of walk by my side, not really putting her into any kind of behavior, so no command, and I will just randomly, if she starts to get a little bit ahead of me, I'll just walk in the opposite direction. So when she meets the end of the line, she's met with tension from the leash. When she turns to see what created the tension, she's seeing me walking away from her. So it's not a correction delivered by me, but the correction comes from not staying with me. She essentially corrected herself. So anytime where you can make a dog think that they are the source of something, that's going to help motivate them to pay more attention. So nothing too extreme. So she's doing a lot of walking from here, so it's not really giving her the opportunity to move too far ahead of me. But I want it to be where when I turn, I don't need any leash tension for her to turn with me. Once she starts doing that, so again, recapping, we're walking, and as soon as she gets in front of me, I pivot and I walk in the opposite direction, and I just kind of lock my leash right here on my side so that I'm not adding in corrections, I'm not making it unfair for her, but she's just gonna need to keep up with me. So once she starts turning with me, what I'll do is pay her for turning with me. So she's self-correcting, and then finding value in keeping up with me and paying attention to where I am, and it's done organically where I'm not saying, no, you can't walk ahead of me, no, you can't walk ahead of me. I want her to be interested because she's a little bit disoriented. She needs to pay attention in order to avoid that leash pressure. Good. So it's more about it being her idea. And then you can switch it over to a little bit more positive reinforcement where when you turn with me, you keep up with me, I'm going to pay for that. I really like when you do that. So then it's her idea. She's like, oh, I just turn with her and I pay attention. And there's value in doing that. Right now we're finessing the heel. So this stuff is going to be about creating engagement and making her want to be aware of you. She doesn't need to stare up at you the entire time. That would be unfun for her. But when she does look up, pay her. Give her a reward for it. Yes, or good, or whatever. I like when dogs are having a good time and looking around and scanning and all of that good jazz, but then they care enough to look up and be like, hey, you're here. I want them to know that there is value in doing that, but I have to earn that value. She's a pretty mellow dog from what I've experienced, so I don't feel like I need to put on like a lot of cheerleading. I want to mostly leave her alone, so I'm not talking to her the entire time, but the only time that I give her feedback is when she looks up at me. Right now, when she looks up at me, I'm like, yeah, I like that, here's some food. Later, like right now what I'm doing is using leash pressure to fine tune where I want her to be on leash. But again, this is more of an exercise to just get that engagement, putting value in, checking in with you. If she does start to really forge ahead and like maybe engage with an outside source, another dog or whatever, what I would recommend is when she sees those things and she leaves you, we're just going to apply pressure. We're going to apply pressure backwards. So let's say, I'm going to throw hot dogs. Which is a dog? Hot dog. We'll apply pressure like this. Go ahead. Yes, good girl. A little bit of leash pressure. If she's really locked onto that, you're just going to keep moving back and give her some smooches, cheerlead her a little bit until she turns and faces you. Mark that moment. Yes, good girl. There's something else I wanted to mention and I can't think of what it is. As soon as I stop recording, I will remember it. So I'll probably just tag it onto the email response. But again, start out small with as far as distraction levels, the environment, how new it is, and then work your way up. Get that engagement. Every time you go into a new place, you know she's going to be excited about things happening around her. So instead of, hey, let's sniff and do all this stuff first, let's play with her. Let's get her worried about us. So when I take dogs on their field trips, as soon as I get out of the car, I start playing with them. I do that little girl. I do a little back and forth like this. As soon as she looks away, yes. Or excuse me, as soon as she looks back into me, hey, or she needs my hand, she gets all excited. The girl, the directional changes, all that good jazz. Yes. But I want to earn that engagement and not just expect her to pay attention to me. The girl. All right. So again, I'll update the last part through the written out